In this video, we are going to explain fraction multiplication. The advantage of fraction multiplication compared to addition and subtraction is that in multiplication, we don't have to find the common denominator when the denominators are not the same. So that makes the calculations easier. Let's see an example. 1/2 times 1/3. The meaning of 1/2 is that we divide one whole unit into halves, two equal parts, and we take 1. And the meaning of 1/3 is that we take one part out of 3. We divide a whole unit in 3 parts and we take 1. But in this case, we are saying 1/2 times 1/3. That means that we are taking this 1/2 1/3 of a time. So what we are doing, what we are really doing here is dividing this half into 3 parts, and we are gonna take one of those 3 parts. So we divide this half into 3 parts and take 1. So it comes up that what we are really taking is 1 part out of 6, that is 1/6. Arithmetically, the math that we are doing is multiplying the numerators. So we multiply the top numbers, 1 times 1 equals 1, and we multiply the denominators, 2 times 3 equals 6. Let's do it once again with two different fractions. 2/5 times 3/7. Well, first we take a whole unit divided in 5 parts and take 2. That is 2/5. And now we are gonna take 3/7 of those 2/5. So we divide these 2/5 in 7 parts and we take 3 of those 7 parts. So it comes up that what we are really taking is 6 parts out of 35. That's 6/35. Once again, what we have done is multiply the top numbers. 2 times 3 equals 6 and 5 times 7 equals 35. We could have done the same thing, but the other way around. So we could have taken 3/7, that is, divide the unit in 7 parts and take 3, and now we could take 2/5 of those 3/7. So we divide this 3/7 in 5 equal parts and take 2. This and this. Once again, it comes up that what we are really taking are 6 parts out of 35. Exactly the same result we got before. That's why we say multiplication is commutative. Division is the inverse operation to multiplication. So when we have a division like 3/7 divided by 2/5, we are trying to find a fraction that, when multiplied by 2/5, we get 3/7. So mathematically, the easiest way to do this is to invert the second fraction. So we send the numerator to the bottom and the denominator to the top. So the 2 comes to the bottom and the 5 goes to the top. We get 5/2 at the same time that we get a multiplication sign. So the division sign becomes a multiplication sign. So dividing means that we invert the second fraction and then we multiply. So 3 times 5 equals 15 and 7 times 2 equals 14. So dividing is nothing else than multiplying by the inverse fraction. So graphically, we can do exactly the same we have done before. We take a whole unit, divide it in 7 parts and take 3, that is 3/7, and we have to take now 5 halves of these 3/7. That means that we are going to divide in 2 parts, in 2 halves, and take that 5 times. So we divide in 2 parts, and this part here is what we have to take 5 times. That's once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and now as we don't have enough to take one more time, we have to take parts from a new unit. So let's see, we need 3 of these. We have here 1, 2, and the remaining one, we have to take it from a different unit. That's the one. So we divide a new unit in 14 parts and take 1. So let's see what we have taken. We have taken 14 parts out of 14, that's 1 whole unit, plus 1/14 more belonging to a second unit. So that is 15/14, which was the result we had from the beginning. This is an improper fraction that can be written as a mixed number, that is 1 and 1/14. That means we have 1 whole unit plus 1/14. We don't want to forget that what we were doing here wasn't a multiplication but a division. We started with a division, 3/7 divided by 2/5, and we transformed that into a multiplication by inverting the second fraction. So division means multiplying by the inverse fraction. But what they teach us in school most of the time is that to divide fractions, we cross multiply the numbers. That is, we multiply 3 times 5 and 7 times 2. 3 times 5, that's 15, and 7 times 2, that's 14. This cross multiplication is exactly the same as multiplying by the inverse fraction. So it's the same.